Hey everybody, Clay Archer, CEO DPC Technology, and I've got a really cool one today. Today I'm going to review the new G6 PTZ. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this one. This is the new pan, tilt, zoom camera from UniFi, and it fits right in between the G5 PTZ and the new AI PTZ. And what's so cool about this camera is it has two sensors. So we're going to dive into this camera. We're going to compare it to the AI PTZ and the G5 PTZ. I've also got the G4 PTZ Industrial up in this view as well. And with that comparison, we'll see who this camera is really for. Too long didn't read. This is a really good camera. If it's available in the store right now and you're looking for a PTZ from UniFi in the Protect system, I would go ahead and grab one. It is really a nice camera. So Daniel unboxed this. It's a little bit bigger box than you're used to with the G5. It fits somewhere in that, like I said before, that range in between the AI PTZ and the G6 PTZ. Like the G5 PTZ, it comes with the flat wall mount already in the kit there. And as always with UniFi, it's really nice packaging. It's really well put together. Also included in the box is a bunch of different hardware that you might need in your installation. You'll also notice very quickly when you look at the dome itself, it's a little bit bigger camera than the G5 PTZ, and you can see the two lenses inside of the camera itself. Daniel went ahead and threw it up on the test rig, and you can see he's holding them side by side here. You can see the size difference between the G5 PTZ and the G6 PTZ. And once it was up on the rig, we took some video of it next to the AI PTZ and the G5 PTZ, so you can see it for comparison size there. So let's jump into store.ui.com and show you a few of the differences here between the G5 and the G6. So this is all-weather 4K dual lens camera with 10x hybrid zoom, a 1/1/8 inch 8 megapixel sensor, multi-tops AI engine, and ultra-low latency pan, tilt, zoom control for motion tracking. It also comes in both white and black. One thing about the size difference that may be of consideration to some is while most of the accessories and mounting accessories for the G5 also work with the G6, but there are a few that won't. So I'll go through them real quick. You have the conduit adapter, and if you click on it, you'll see that that same conduit adapter is for the G5 and the G6 PTZ. And the pendant, same thing, as well as the corner bracket. So those three adapters work the same, but if I go into the G5 PTZ, you'll see that we do not get the surface and the in-ceiling. I stand corrected. The G6 PTZ will have both a surface mount and an in-ceiling mount. That's awesome news, as both are really nice installation options. I really like this in-ceiling mount. I did a review of it when I covered the G5 PTZ. Basically, it recesses the top part of the camera itself, so just the bulb is hanging down below the ceiling level. This unit also does have edge recording, so you can put an SD card in it so that if you lose connectivity to the NVR, it will still record on the camera itself. It's built really well, and I will say in my AI PTZ review, I mentioned that it probably isn't the correct camera for a home just because it's bulk and its size. This is much more appropriate for the side of a house. You can see it next to the G5 PTZ. It's almost the same size when you put it on the wall. When you hold it in your hands, it's much different, but the time you put it on a wall up on a side of a building, it's not that much of a difference. And I think with the features, as I jump into it here, I think this G6 PTZ could live in both worlds. I think it is a camera that could be on the side of a residential house and be on the side of a commercial building with no issues. Also, I think it's going to fit the bill in both locations, both commercial and residential, at $399. I think that is a good price for this. If it is available right now, like I said before, I would probably go out and get one because I have a feeling they're going to have trouble keeping them in stock at that price. Just for comparison's sake, the G5 PTZ is $299 and the AI PTZ Industrial is $1299. So you can see for a $100 premium over the G6 PTZ, we'll jump in here and we'll start looking at the camera and see what am I getting for that $100 difference. So what we have here is the G4 PTZ. This is my original G4 Industrial that's been on the side of my building for many, many years now. Then I have the brand new AI PTZ. I've got a G5 PTZ on a test rig right next to the G6 PTZ. And I apologize, you can see a little bit of the G6 PTZ and the G5 PTZ. But first thing right off the bat, you can see here, I've got them a little bit off kilter here. First thing you'll notice is that the width of the G5 PTZ and the G6 PTZ, when it is in its widest orientation, is very similar. I'll go here and I'll just move this a little bit. I kind of moved the G6 PTZ a little bit because, the G5 PTZ a little bit because you can see here, the G6 was in the range there. But anyways, you can see here, the edge of the building and just to the right of the license plate on the Tesla. So very similar width there. But what the party trick is of the G6 PTZ is that we can zoom in. So on your keyboard, you can use I and O to zoom in and out on your zoom cameras. And I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in here, and I can go all the way into 10 times zoom here. So at 10 times zoom, you can see I'm zoomed in pretty doggone far. Let me move it around a little bit so you can see at distance what that looks like, and I'll zoom in and I'll zoom back out again so you can comparatively what that looks like. But you know, looking at what's going on across the street or whatever, this is a really pretty impressive zoom. Now, is it as impressive as the AI PTZ? No. I'll go ahead and show you that here in a second. But for most people doing most things, I think this is a really acceptable zoom level. So when I said before, you know, for residential and for commercial, I think in both applications, you'd be quite happy with this level of zoom. I'll go ahead and I will hit R to reset back to where it was stationed, or its home, and you'll see that's a pretty decent zoom distance. I'm going to use one other feature here, which sometimes is easier to use on a PTZ, is the mouse. And I'm going to center on that blue car way across the way. And then I'm going to use the plus here and go all the way into 10 times zoom with the mouse. And you can see, I can see make and model of those cars at that distance pretty doggone well. Pretty impressive stuff. And I will do the same comparison with the AI PTZ. Same blue car. I'll go ahead and turn my mouse on. By the way, if you haven't seen my 6.0 video, they just updated the software to 6.0, and they now make the selecting overlays turn blue, which is great. If you're using your mouse, it's very easy to forget where you are, and previously it didn't really show that very well. So big kudos for the update on that. I think that overlay is really a nice update. But anyways, you can see with the AI PTZ here, I can actually read that license plate at that level. It's RGY J45. I don't know how that's going to translate to YouTube. RGY, you said it might be J46. Sorry, I didn't have it on HQ before, but you can see that zoom is quite impressive. I will go back again now that I'll do that same zoom in with the G6 PTZ. And obviously this isn't a fair fight. This is a $1,299 camera versus a $499 camera that isn't intended to do the same thing. But let me show you, you're going to get a pretty good, I'm never going to be able to read that license plate there, but I would be able to see very clearly a person walking around that car and what they were doing if it was following them there. So anyways, that is the zoom feature. I'll go ahead and reset that to home. Now, you'll see on the G5, I'll let this grab that guy, and I will, you can see they're all tracking them. They let it go there. I'm sorry, I kind of messed that one up there, but you can see immediately it saw that Amazon worker and it tracked them. They all track it very similarly. But what I will tell you, the main difference on the G5 PTZ versus the G6 PTZ is the zoom. So there is no zoom on the G5 PTZ. So when that person walks around, it just moves basically the camera to follow that person. It's not zooming in to find that person like it does on the G6 PTZ or the AI PTZ. And that feature really is, that is a nice feature to have, that zoom. Oh, so there you go. We have somebody walking through the scene. You see all three of them pick them up. They're following the person. But you will see the G6 gets a little bit more, and the width here, I'm sorry the G5 got the camera there, but the width there gives this the ability to go much further than the AI PTZ. So the G6, you see, follow that person all the way to the door. All right, so she's coming back out now, and you can see they all track her, they grab her, they follow her, they all do a pretty similar job. The thing about the G6 versus the G5 is it is not doing any of its zoom digitally, where the G5 is zooming in digitally and the G6 is not. You can see they all kind of do their thing. Very similar. I think that the tracking on the G6 is superior to the tracking on the G5. You saw it lose it there. Actually tried to follow another person in the distance, but your mileage may vary on that. The G5 is doing really well in and of itself. I think it's a great camera, and I think most people will tell you that the G5 is a really good camera. The G6 just goes up a level on that. I will tell you one thing on here on my G5. You see I've got face, person, vehicle, vehicle type, vehicle color. I've got all the things here. It's the same on the G6, but I'm doing that with a cheat code. I have it paired with my AI key. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like without. And I said AI key, I meant AI port. I'm going to go to my AI port and I'm going to take that G5 PTZ off of it. I said AI port versus key. I do have a key and a port. The AI key is doing the AI intelligence on all the cameras, and the AI port is making some of these non-AI cameras have some of these features, and I'll show you what those are really quickly here. So if now I go into G5 PTZ, you can see I only get person, vehicle, animal, confidence level, and object idle. By default, I've not done anything to the G6 PTZ. By default, it gets face, person, vehicle, vehicle type, vehicle color, license plate, animal, confidence level, and object idle time. So that's all really cool stuff, and that's the stuff that's typically that you associate with the newer AI type of cameras. So the G6 has those built in. I think a lot of people are going to want those features. One other thing that I will mention on the zoom here, like I said before, there's actually two different lenses on here, and it goes in between those two lenses. And you'll notice there is a spot in the middle where it shifts to the other lens. You can just see it happen right there. And I just want to point out how smooth that transition is. I'll go in again here. You can see it just there. It does its transition. It's so subtle that you don't even notice it. There's just a little quick boop, then it changed it. And I think they've done a really, really nice job on that. Like, that is not jarring. It's a really smooth transition. I was worried that there would be some sort of like hesitancy there or a big, jump there, but it's not. It's really quite smooth. And when you're using this in day-to-day operations, you almost don't even notice that it happens. But that's at that point there, it is moving from the one lens to the other lens. And again, this is probably a good one to take a look at. It is really good at doing things at that level. Also, let's see. Grab that guy, and I'm not doing that. It's tracking it himself. So if you left it zoomed in at that level, across the street, it would follow people and do that. One of the things that's kind of hard to find when you're first looking at these cameras, if I go to device settings here, there is this home view, and you can edit that home view. If I wanted, let's just say I wanted to always be looking at that front door across the street and have that be where my detection started, basically that be the home, I could, and I will, I'll go in, go up over here, I'll get that centered up there. And I could set that as the default view that I want home to be set to. And then whenever it was done with the detection, it would go back in there. So if you wanted a really zoomed in spot, let's just say that's your front door or something that you really wanted to track everybody, you could zoom it in, set that as home, and it will start its tracking from that location. Very powerful, very cool stuff. Let's also go to another thing that the G6 has that the G5 doesn't have. If I go in here, you'll see that I don't have the little squiggly patrol setting up on the top. So I'm going to go and show you what that is. That's this little squiggly going here. It's called patrol. And what you're able to do in patrol is go to your presets and move between presets. I've shown this before. You can do presets on the G5. You just can't go zoom in between them. So let's just say I'm going to go to save presets. See, it's tracking that guy, by the way, where when he left the building, I'm going to go. So that's going to be my preset number 1. And I'll call this number 1. And then click S on the keyboard and save it. Then I will go somewhere else. Let's just go aimed right at the front door here. Okay, and we're going to save this as preset number 2. And then I will go over here a little bit, and we'll call this one number 3. All right, so now that I've got those 3 presets done, and I could have done the presets the same way in the G5, but now that I've got those 3 done, I can click on the little squiggly line here, which is for patrols. And I can create a patrol, and I can just add those presets. Now, I could add more, I could have less, it doesn't matter. You need to have 2, obviously, to do a patrol, but I could add more, as many as I want to there, and then I can say how long I want it to stay on each one of those locations. So I could do 20 seconds up to a minute. So I'll go ahead and leave it at that. I could change the order by dragging them around here. I can delete them, do that kind of stuff. I could add another preset from here, but I'm gonna go ahead and go create there. And if I've got patrol turned on, it's gonna go to that first location. Then 20 seconds later, it's gonna go to the next location. And you can see there on those locations, I could set zoom levels. I could set the pan and tilt of the camera. So obviously it gives you a lot of flexibility if you did want to surveil a certain area. Now, that being said, with PTZ, you're able to, obviously, like a kid running through sprinklers, somebody that they wanted to could walk through your area, know what the PTZ schedule was by looking at it, and then kind of defeat it. The way you would get around that is by having either line crossing from one to another or having a stationary camera that would tell the PTZ to jump back in there. I'll show you here really quickly what that looks like. So I'm going to stop that patrol. It's just going to keep going from those locations. I'm going to go ahead and stop that patrol, but I'm going to show you how you would set this up for a stationary camera to be able to trigger this camera to do something. So let's just say I would like, and I'm going to go into Alarm Manager to do this. Let's just say that I would like to create an alarm. It's going to be an activity of a line crossing, and it's going to be from, I've got this AI turret at the front door, and I don't have a line drawn on it yet. So, okay, well, let's do that. Let's go, I'm going to discard here. I'm going to go to all my cameras, and we're going to go to the front door, this AI turret. And I'm going to go in here to settings, and I'm going to go to device settings, and I'm going to go to crossing lines. And so I'm going to add a crossing line here. And that line is going to be this little line right here. And so whenever somebody crosses this line, it is going to trigger an action. So I'm not going to count detections, and I'm going to go both ways with that. And I'm going to go save. And really, I probably would only go out with that if I was really making this. And so now I've got that one done. I'm going to go X out of here. I'm going to go back into Alarm Manager, and I'm going to go create alarm. And I'm going to go activity. I'm going to go line crossing. And I'm going to choose that AI turret. And I'm going to go to PTZ. And I'm going to say G6 PTZ. And that was number 2, was it focused back on the front door. And it's back home after 10 seconds. That's cool. And so I'm going to go create. And now every time somebody walks out the front door, it's going to turn and zoom in on that area and then follow that person from there. Now, the cool thing about the G6 PTZ and why I think it's such a powerful camera is you can see I'm already going to get somebody walking out of the front door because it's so wide, and it's going to turn to zoom with them. So that's kind of irrelevant here. But where that would be cool on a PTZ is if somebody tried to trick this camera by having somebody walk the other way while the other bad guy walked in the front door. Well, it's going to do that line trigger, and it's going to come back and it's going to show you the front door. So it's a great way to stop people from being able to trick PTZs. And so if you really wanted high security, you could do that kind of coverage. Really cool stuff. Really quickly before we go to the nighttime detections, I'll go through the overlays on the screen. First of all, you got the name. I can go to the timeline there, or I can go to find anything. Find anything is really cool. A new feature of 6.0. It basically lets you find anything that has to do with the camera. Really cool. It automatically just brings you there and says that you're in the G6 PTZ. That's really cool. And that's for all cameras. On the G6 PTZ, we've got reset to home, which is typical for all of the different PTZs. I've got those presets, like I showed you before, set up. Got patrol mode. I've got auto tracking. So as of right now, it's got person and smart zoom. You can see right there, it picked up Mallory as she walked out the front door. That's a perfect example of it being wide enough to see over there, and that's great. It's got person and smart zoom. The smart zoom basically is that zooming in. The optical zoom will be adjusted automatically to capture the clearest view of the target. It's really great, and it's a party trick of the G6 PTZ to be able to use that optical zoom to not reduce quality while they're zooming in. Really cool feature. Here's your shortcuts. You can see I've got overlays here on my screen here of the different cameras. So if I wanted to go to the G5 real quick, I could click there, and I've got a AI PTZ there. I've got shortcuts set up on every camera. If I wanted to go to the front door and then I want to go over to the other G4 PTZ, I can get there. Just so I've got these shortcuts set up. And you could set these up for any camera. They are pretty simple to do. But back in the G6 PTZ with the mouse control, like I said before, it's really nice that it now turns blue when you click it. And if with the mouse control on, you can just click anywhere in the scene you want to go to, and your mouse scroll works in a zoom, and your clicker button just works wherever you click on the screen. So that's pretty cool feature. Sometimes that's the best way to navigate. Sometimes it's better to use the keyboard. I kind of use a little bit of both. I'll turn that off, and we will go ahead and reset to home. You can see Sherry leaving for lunch. Then we got hide shortcuts or edit shortcuts that we just talked about, and the different detections. We got face, person, vehicle, vehicle type, vehicle color, license plate, animal, confidence level, and object idle time. If I didn't want to see all those overlays, I could turn them off, and you'll see, then you just see the clean image. The overlays are really nice though, although it does look like there's a lot of stuff going on there. It does kind of make it easier to see what is happening in a shot where there is a lot of information. So you'll notice that when I turn this back on, they come in kind of layers here. As soon as I click face, it will give me confidence level and object idle time. When I do person, it will just click, and when I do vehicle, it will add vehicle type, color, license plate, and then animal is just animal. So really cool stuff. If I did want to go back into find anything, I can go back into find anything there and search for those images that were of those different types. So I could go in here and I could go vehicle type there. It actually does vehicle brand as well now. And I can do animal, if I just want to see every animal that's gone by, or I could do person, face, car, and license plate like before. So every time it's detected a license plate, it will go there. Every time that it is detected a car, there. Really cool stuff, pretty neat and easy to kind of go through tons and tons of footage and find stuff. That again is, some of those features are on the G6 as far as the AI detections like license plate and face detections that aren't in the G5, but the ability to search for everything is something you can do now with all of the UniFi cameras, which was really a welcome addition. So with that, I recorded some nighttime footage last night. We'll jump into that real quick, and then we'll come back and I'll show you some other nighttime footage that I've recorded in the past. All right, so it is now nighttime, and the 4 cameras are up here. It's about 9:30 at night, and I will tell you I've turned off the IR on all of the cameras except for the G6 PTZ. So if you look at the AI PTZ, the G4 PTZ, and the G5 PTZ, their IR emitters are off. The IR emitter is on the G6 PTZ, but you'll notice right away that the G6 PTZ is going in and out of color mode here almost all the time. As I've said in my other videos, my parking lot does not get completely dark. Now, it is dark. If you were walking around out there, it would not be super light. I actually have the parking lights off in my office, but you can see there is bleed from the other offices in my area. And you can actually see the reflection of the ladder here that has the cameras on the test rig on it in the light. And that's coming from the office next door, just along the edge of my building. There's also street lights along the road here, and you can see bleed off of those street lights. But if you're walking around out in the parking lot, it's not super bright. One of the things about these cameras is they are very sensitive to light now, and so actually the need for IR in my location is actually about 50-50. You will see as I sit here and play around a little bit with the camera that it's going to go in and out of color mode because I'm right on the edge with the G6 of it being able to be in color mode. As a matter of fact, if I turn on the lights in my parking lot, it will always stay in color mode, which is nice actually. I think it's a really nice image here in color mode, but you'll see if I leave it here, it will kind of go in and out of color and IR mode just kind of regularly as it's right on that knife's edge of being in color mode or not. If I zoom in, typically that's where it will jump back into IR mode. I'm going to go across the street here. You can see it just went into IR mode there. I'll go to the vehicles over here. You can see it's a really nice image still with IR mode on. The only IR emitter that is on right now is the IR emitter in the G6 PTZ. And you can see that's a really nice image over there. And it will track people and do a decent job there. When I'm done with this live demo here, I'll go back and show some footage of it doing some detections at an earlier time. You can see there's a car going to go by here in the background, and you know, the car looks really nice. I'm zoomed in it 10 times. I'll zoom out here just to show you what that looks like. I'm also going to go ahead real quickly on my phone here, and I will turn on the lights in the parking lot just to show you what that looks like with the lights on as well. And once the lights are on, you can see it goes back into color view, and it pretty much stays there and will not go in and out in this mode. And this is where I run it most of the time. So also, if I go out of this particular camera here, let me turn off the mouse control here and go out of this camera. Even though I turn on the lights there in the parking lot, the AI and the G4 PTZ, the industrials, both stay in night mode with IR. They don't, their sensor isn't quite as sensitive, I guess, or where it's set to be go in and out of IR mode. It does not go into that color mode back, you know, the daytime mode. And I don't know if that's by design or not, but it does not. Maybe if I go into a more visible spot here, does it go back into color mode? It does not. It stays in IR mode the whole time. I have turned that to IR filter only. If I turn the IR filter off there, it will now be emitting IR, and it's pretty strong. Both of the industrials IR emitters are much stronger than either of the G5 and the G6 PTZ. That being said, if I am in IR emitter only mode on the G6 PTZ, let me go ahead and do that. I'll switch over into, and now you can see that I do have that IR emitter on the AI industrial. You can see it in the upper left there. And when I go over here to focus on the cars over in the distance, you'll see even more, but it is actually focusing back this way, so you're not going to get lightness when I zoom in here. And you'll see that's quite a nice image without any extra light or IR emitting coming from any other camera except for this G6 PTZ. Go to something a little bit closer here, kind of the foyer here. I'm going to go ahead, before I do that comparison, I'm going to go ahead and go in here and turn off that IR emitter in the AI PTZ. That's going to turn off that glare there, but you can see that's a relatively nice image that I'm getting here off the side of the portico down there. And you see that's a really nice image. You know, I think you'd be pretty happy with that. As with all cameras in the night, things are going to be more blurry than they are during the day. So you'll see as those cars go by, they do look really good, but they are going to be, there's going to be more grain and more motion blur than there is during the day. That's just a function of cameras and how they work. But that being said, I think that it looks really nice, and I think you'd be very happy with that that image. I'm going to go ahead and take this out of night vision and put this back onto auto. And now you see it went right back to using color night vision. So you know, that's my completely unscientific nighttime review of the G6 PTZ. I will show you just real quickly comparison of the sensors between the G5 and the G6. I do think the G6 is a little bit nicer image here. Just, you know, if you look down here in the grass and you look over there in the distance, I think I'm getting a little bit more definition out of it in both areas. A little bit better low light performance, but you know, I don't know that for that particular performance in and of itself. I think that the G5 and the G6 are going to be a major difference. Like most of my review here on the G6, I think what you're getting here is the ability to have this zoom and this second sensor zoomed in here and have this kind of quality and clarity at this distance. I think that that's really the differentiator here between the G5 and the G6. And you know, that really nice and smooth transition from zoomed in like that to zoomed out. And the real advantage here is that having the two sensors is that when we're zoomed in, we're not losing that quality like we would if we zoomed in on the G5 here. And just for giggles, I'll go and zoom in digitally over there and show you what an unfair fight that is. You can see there, it's not even a comparison about the quality at that distance. All right, this is an example zoomed in here. You got a car going quite a ways away there, pulling out, and it looks like pretty could see that car pretty doggone well. We just went into IR mode. So that's a pretty good example of a car moving around at pretty far distance. You can see that across the street over there is pretty far zoomed in, and what it looks like to see motion at night. All right, so that was me playing around with it last night. So I'm going to go into some footage that I've already taken. So I'm going to go in the G6 PTZ here, and I'm going to go back to a certain date here. All right, so here's some footage I found from May 29th. So Chad came back in the evening to pick up a computer. He gets out of his truck. The G6 PTZ finds him quickly, follows him into the office, and he does his thing. And then when Chad comes back out of the office a few minutes later, it again finds him and scrolls over to him. Now, again, I will say on my parking lot, we have quite a bit of lighting. So it's not like it's super dark here, and I do have the parking lot lights on here, but it is pretty low level light, and this is the kind of, activity you're gonna get in the nighttime. Now, one thing that I wish it would have done on this particular exposure is zoom in on Chad a little bit more. It didn't zoom in on him, but if I needed to go to the police with this information here, and I needed to zoom in a little bit, I've got a really good image here. And, had I used some optical zoom on that, it might have been a little bit better, but you can see that's a really good image. And I'm going to be able to identify that vehicle and probably get a pretty good ID on Chad himself there just by this video footage at this distance. And this is another one. This is the cleaning crew coming in to clean the office. Again, same location, but it quickly finds the people and looks for them. I will say this is another example where the width of this camera is really nice because I can see quite a lot of it here. Now, it does not grab these people until the second light comes on, and now it zooms over there. So there was a little activity before it recognized those people as humans, but I think it did a really nice job there. This would be another one where I before showed you the camera at the front door. Prompting the PTZ to go over there would have been a great example of a spot to do it. But the PTZ did grab them there, did see them. Again, I probably would like to see a little bit of zoom in on that, but that's stuff that that can be done in software updates over time. But I'll give that a thumbs up. That's a really nice grab. And again, here, if I wanted to zoom in on this vehicle, it is, that's a really good image. I can give you the make and model of that car at night. There is residual light here. It's not completely pitch black there, but I think this is pretty typical of what you would want to see in your location. Now, obviously, if this was live or whatever, I could zoom in there and could take control over it. But I think that footage is really nice, and I really like this camera. I think it does really well in low light. It doesn't want to jump to low light really quickly. It wants to hold on and have this color view, which I think is nice. But I think that's some pretty good examples. So that pretty much covers it for night. One other thing I want to mention is the AI PTZ versus the G6 PTZ. I'm going to throw up an overlay now of some footage that I saw the other day where someone was coming out the front door, and it's just on the edge of what you can see with the G6 PTZ, and it is completely not visible to the AI PTZ. My one wish on the AI PTZ is that it went a little bit wider, and this G6 PTZ just does that. And you can see in that instance where somebody came out of the front door to go to that car, it pans over with the width that you have on that G6 PTZ, where the AI PTZ it doesn't come into frame at all, so it doesn't even know to go over there and grab it. So a big win for the AI PTZ. I'm also going to throw up real quick. All right, so here's a recording of the three cameras, the AI PTZ, the G5 PTZ, and the G6 PTZ from a couple of days ago. And we have somebody walking out the front door right now. You see them walking, they're gonna walk across the street. So this is a pretty good comparison of when everything picks it up. You can see he's walking out into the area. The AI PTZ grabbed it first. Now you got the you got all three of them now tracking it, although I think the G5 just picked it up, which is a little bit after the G6 picked it up. Scrolling, going across the street. You can see the optical zoom just kicked into the G5. I think that our the G6. I think the G6 could zoom in a little quicker than it does, but I think that's probably a little bit of tuning that could be done in the software. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just dealer's choice and it's doing what it's doing. But you can see all three of them following him appropriately. Zoom definitely nice here. You can see the G5 is kind of falling behind now at that distance where it starts to not make quite as much sense. And the G5 loses him there, and the G6 and the AI PTZ are following. You can see the quality of the AI PTZ there, of the optics on it. That's an incredible, incredible image. But the G6, man, for a third the price, is doing a heck of a job. And so they both walk behind my light pole in that tree, and then they return. Pretty good comparison there. The G6 did not pick him up walking out the front door. It waited till he got behind the Jeep. Once it gets in the range of that AI PTZ, the AI PTZ just locks on and follows it and does a great job of zooming. The G6 does a really nice job as well. I would like the G6 PTZ to zoom in just a little bit quicker with its smart zoom technology, but it's pretty amazing. I think across the board, I think this is a perfect middle ground between the two cameras. I think if you already have a G5 PTZ, I don't know that I particularly would upgrade it unless you're really looking for those zoom functions. But if you are looking to buy a PTZ in the ecosystem, I think the G6 PTZ makes a heck of a lot of sense. It's really compelling. The value's really there. It's not as robust, and it doesn't have the optical strength that the AI PTZ does, but it also doesn't come with that cost. Having the two focal lengths is a real big advantage. Also, the AI features that it has compared to the G5 PTZ, I think really make it a compelling purchase. But what do you think? Is the $100 more for this worth it? How does it stack up in your Protect install? Please leave your comments and questions down below. As always, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.